What's up, VC? I just got off work. Didn't think I'd get a chance to make a video until this weekend, but it's been a while. I wanted to do a vinyl update, and I think my last one was 2 weeks ago, a little over 2 weeks ago, and that was mostly stuff I'd bought around Christmas, towards the end of December, with any Christmas money or for gifts. So this is my haul for January, basically, and it's a nice little stack, about that thick, but it's just sitting aside waiting for me to show it. So figured I'd do a little bit of that. Hope everybody's doing well. This weekend I still want to do some videos, some contest entries, and another indie vinyl entry. Start with the S's. That'll be fun, but this is an eclectic sort. There's only one new record in here. A couple of eBay finds, some cheapos. I've been looking for this record for a while. Chills, Brave Words. This is a promo copy. 1988 Homestead Records. I have Submarine Bells, which is their second album. This is their first kind of the payoff of the potential of a bunch of insanely stellar singles. And this can get expensive. So I've been watching it for maybe a year or so on eBay, and I finally found one that I got for under 10 bucks, possibly because it's a Homestead Records instead of the original label Flying Nun. It includes an extra track, but that's okay with me. I think this is great. I wish I could get some of the compilation with their early singles, Kaleidoscope World, I think it's called, or Kaleidoscopic World. Anyway, it's really expensive. However, Captured Tracks has been talking about doing some reissuing of Flying Nun's material, and I hope that's on there. I think it might be. But this came with some promo material. A lot of press clippings for their early singles, as well as the album itself. Nice article, Chillin' with the Nun. This was shown by G-Rob 410, has been doing his Album of the Week videos, and this was his first one for Marvin Gaye's I Want You, which was the one Marvin Gaye album post What's Going On that I hadn't spent any time with. So I listened to the video, loved it, and in the car the very next day I was on my way to a record show out of town, heard the single from it on the radio. Record show was a bust, so I went to a record store afterwards. This was right there on the stacks, and it was one of those things you can't, it just comes into your life at the right time, and that was the right time. It was pretty dirty and a little warped, plays fine, and I have access to a VPI machine, which has ruined me. I can't listen to anything without running it through that VPI machine first. Next couple of records I actually was able to get from a friend who has a pretty great collection of, pretty small collection, maybe about 200 records. He's selling them off because he never listens to records anymore, but he worked in the record store in Greenville with me for several years. He was my boss, and now he's my guitar player. Anyway, he sold all of his records to me for like about, not all of them, about 45 records for about $6 a pop. I bought those for the store that I work at now, so they got most of the records. I got a little commission off of it, and I got a few for myself for $6 a piece. Deer Hunter's Micro Castle, excellent album. This is the initial Cranky release, which is cool because it's on white vinyl, which matches my Halcyon Digest release, and originally came with a CD of B-sides called Weird Era Continued. However, he's missing the CD. He doesn't have it. They later reissued this album as a double LP, with the second LP being the B-sides, which I've heard are good, but I'm very familiar with this album, not necessarily the B-sides. So I'm okay with that. This is great. This is great stuff. 2008, I believe. Also from my buddy Lloyd, Jesus and the Mary Chain's second album, Darklands, which I was not familiar with. It's a Warner Brothers release. I believe it's a promo. It's got the cutout anyway. 1987. I like the inner sleeve. Obviously not as noisy as their first record, not as much of a standalone classic as their first record, but I've listened to it twice and it's got some great songs. It really does. Can't compare it to those albums that enter the canon, but you know, just as a standalone alt record from the 80s, it's very good. Very good. Blow My Mind, Wire, Pink Flag. I've heard some bad, maybe not bad, but sketchy things about this release info. This is the four men with beards pressing. I've heard it on headphones 2 or 3 times, and I think it sounds very good. This is actually my first exposure to the album. I've never listened to it digitally on CD or anything. So, I mean, this is blowing my mind, especially that I haven't been into it so much because it's right up my alley. Very happy to have listened to this. This is a little cheapo record. First Pointer Sisters. I've been hearing a few Pointer Sisters songs that I've just loved. The early stuff. This is on Blue Thumb. This is, I believe, 73 Blue Thumb. I heard the song Yes We Can, which is the first song on here, which is just a monster song. The bass is just holding the same groove the entire song. Bass and the drums, amazing. I was a little disappointed to find out that the whole album doesn't sound like this. They've got like a cabaret sort of vibe, kind of hokey material, counterbalanced with some of their funkier stuff. I've never listened to much of their stuff that they did in the 80s, but the stuff I've heard from the 70s, including some of the material from this album, is a lot of fun. And I got this for a couple bucks. If you had asked me the day before I bought this if I even wanted this record, I probably would have said no. But I had some store credit at a local shop, and I bought M. Ward's transistor radio for $5. This is a merge release from 2005. I guess you can't really see that. And I blew this album up when it came out. And was very surprised to find, you know, I thought it would be good for a couple of spins, just to jog my memory, see if I still really enjoyed it, which I do, so I'll be holding on to it. But it's the last 3 times it's sold on eBay were for $80 bucks, $75, $71. So, you know, I got this for $5, so what a steal. And, you know, You Still Believe in Me. Rob, if you're watching, it's a Beach Boys cover, done instrumentally, fingerstyle and guitar, and it's very cool. But it's basically his M. Ward's homage to AM radio, and is supposed to play like flipping through the dials of an old radio, the songs he remembers from growing up. He's a very talented guitar player. Well-tempered clavier is on here, which is incredible. His earlier work focused more on his guitar abilities, but this is more song-oriented. And I think some of these, just as short little folk pop songs, are really good. So, hard to find, but really worth a listen. Pick this album up, Rock and Roll with the Modern Lovers. This is the first release after Modern Lovers for Jonathan Richman. On Berserkly, I love that name. And I bought this on eBay for under $10, but I did not read the fine print that this was coming from France. So I didn't pay the dude for a long time. He filed a claim with me. I sent him an email. I said, I plan on paying for this, but it's twice as much as I thought it was going to be. Please just let me wait a little longer. He was super nice. He let me take forever, like probably 5-6 weeks to pay for it. But, you know, I made a commitment, so I had to buy it. And I mean, I'm glad to have it. I don't miss the $20 now. So, and now I only need one more. I had them all, but one of them was warped. I love Jonathan Richman, by the way. I might do a video on him soon. The record fair I mentioned earlier, if you even like listen that thoroughly to these videos, had a copy of this, which I've been looking for a long time. There's a Four Men with Beards repress, which I've seen plenty, but I've been holding out for an original, or at least an older issue. This is on Hannibal Recordings. Very nice label. And it's interesting. I don't know much about the pressing history of these Richard and Linda Thompsons, but I was checking all of the Richard and Linda Thompson that I have Canadian pressings of. So that's interesting. Excellent. Breakup album that wasn't meant to be a breakup album, but ends up being a breakup album. It's amazing. Incredible. Talking Heads, Fear of Music. Filling out my Talking Heads collection. This is 1979, right? Yeah, the third record on Sire. Only need to get 77 now, but it's pretty good. Pretty good bridge between the preceding and following albums, and it's got some great songs. I've been spoiled though because I actually haven't listened to that this much, and the songs I do know are on Stop Making Sense, and those versions are kind of amazing compared to these album versions. But I'll spend some more time with it. Blue Nile, The Blue Nile, A Walk Across the Rooftops. This is 1983 Lynn Records. Great record. If you're not familiar with the Blue Nile, just introspective late night music. I've had their album Hats, which I think is a masterpiece. And I'm not sure why, but this album, when Hats was one of the first albums I bought on eBay maybe a couple years ago. And I was looking for this at the same time, and I held off buying it because it was so cheap. Hats was moderately priced, mostly because I had to get it from the UK in most instances. However, all of a sudden, earlier this year, this album started selling for anywhere from $30 to $60. I'm not sure why, but I finally, after 6, 8, 10 months of waiting, I finally found a copy for about $8. And I'm very happy about it. If you're not familiar with this band, I do recommend you get familiar with this band. Lynn Records, basically the premise for this band is this band was invited into the Lynn studio that was just built basically to showcase the studio. And it ends up being a phenomenal record. The first song, A Walk Across the Rooftops, you can hear it kind of being a showcase song for the studio's capabilities. Certain instruments just kind of take their turns being played. But beautiful music, great songwriting, and happy to have it, finally. Last record, Yola Tengo Fade. This is going to be a record of the year for me. I have no question about it. Went and saw these guys live last night. They played about an hour and a half acoustic and then about an hour electric. Started with the single ohm, ended with the single ohm acoustically and then electric, and beautiful album. One of their, I think it's their best since Summer Sun, probably, which I think is an underrated record. So for those of you who don't particularly like Summer Sun, probably their best since And Then Nothing Turned Inside Out, turned itself inside out. For a band that formed the year I was born, the fact that they're able to make beautiful music like this still is amazing. And I'm very happy. And I'm also happy with the pressing. Obviously, it's super shiny. Which I thought that because I went with the standard version, it wasn't going to be shiny. I was happy it was. Little things. But it's not a overdone pressing. It's very quiet. It's not unnecessarily on 180 grams. I just like the hushed beauty that this band knows how to achieve with their music in the midst of noise, which they're able to make chaotic sounds also hushed and subtle, and I think that's incredible. Very excited about this one. I've played it. I'm probably going to destroy this record, to be honest, since I don't have the greatest turntable. I've been playing it so much. That's it. I'm going to do some videos later this week. You guys have a great weekend and a great end of the week. It's supposed to be, I don't even know if I'm going to be working this weekend because it's supposed to be icy and crazy, but my state's really good at freaking out about those things when it turns out to be nothing. Anyway, y'all take it easy.